So simplifying more surds with a few more rules. Let's add a couple more rules in. Well, firstly, we had our rule that we looked at last time, which was if you're multiplying one square root by another square root, it's the same as having a single square root with those two numbers multiplied together. And we use that for simplifying, particularly trying to find square numbers that were sort of hidden as a factor inside these square roots, because then we can take them out and square root them. That's why we want square numbers. Now, rule 2 we're going to look at is this one. So if you've got a surd of times itself, so I'll give you a couple of examples. So say root 5 times by root 5, you just get 5. It turns into 5. And I can prove this, because if you think about root 5 times by root 5, well, that is the same as having, remember we said using rule 1, we can put it into a single square root. Well, 5 times 5 is 25, and of course the square root of 25 is 5. All right, so that's the basic rule there. You know, and it works for any of these things. You could even do it with algebra as well. So if you had the square root of x, whatever x may be, and you times that by the square root of x, that is also just going to equal x. Okay, and rule 3 we're going to chuck in there is this one, which looks a little bit cumbersome. There's no easy way of writing this one out, but if you've got a certain amount of root m plus another amount of root m, you get those two amounts of root m together. It's very hard to describe. Look, it's easier to show you. Say 2 root 5 plus 4 root 5 equals 6 root 5. It's just like algebra, really. You say I had 2x and I was adding 4x to that, I would have a total of 6x. Because remember, this is what this means. 2 root 5 means 2 lots of root 5. 2 times root 5. 4 times root 5. So this is 6 lots of root 5. And it also works for subtracting. So if you've got 11 root 3 take away 4 root 3, it equals 7 root 3, because 11 take away 4 is 7. Now the one it doesn't work for, say we had, let's go back to the first one. Say we had 2 root 5, like we've got there, and I was adding to it 3 root 7, I can't simplify that. It doesn't work. I can't say I've got 5 lots of root, I don't know, 11 or something. It doesn't work. Okay, it has to be the same square root. So let's look at a couple of example questions, and then you can do a few, and I can stop talking. These are quite straightforward, I think, really. So 9 root 3 plus 5 root 3 is a total of 14 root 3. And let's say I've got 4 root 2 take away root 2. Now, some people would put the answer of 4 here, because they go, well, I've got 4 root 2 and I'm taking away the root 2, so I'm just left with the 4, which of course is not right. This is just like 4x take away x leaves 3x, because this is really one lot of root 2. 4 lots of root 2 take away 1 lot of root 2 is 3 root 2. That is a square root sign, I promise. Yep. And 6 root 3 plus 3 root 3 would be 9 root 3. Yeah, straightforward. Okay. And of course, what we got, 6 root 3 plus 2 root 5 is, don't fall for these. There is nothing you can do with this to make it any simpler. It is still simply just 6 root 3 plus 2 root 5. There is nothing you can do to make that any simpler. Okay, because it must be the same square root. Okay, right, we're going to stick pause on, or rather you're going to stick pause on because I'm going to keep going. And I want you to answer these questions on a bit of paper, and then I want you to unpause the video and see if my answers agree with your answers. Okay, so pause now. We have unpaused, or as I say in France, we have unpaused. So 4 root 2 plus 3 root 2 is 7 root 2. 5 root 2 take away 3 root 2, well 5 take away 3 leaves 2 of them, so we have 2 lots of root 2. 6 root 3 plus 2 root 3 is 8 root 3. 6 root 3 take away 2 root 3, well 6 take away 2 leaves 4, so that's 4 lots of root 3. And root 5 plus root 5 is, remember this is 1 lot of root 5 plus another root 5 is 2 root 5. 8 root 2 plus 2 root 2 is 10 root 2. I mean, these really are very easy, aren't they? 8 root 2 plus 2 root 2. I mean, that one's particularly easy because it's exactly the same question as before. I don't know what happened there. That's a bit crazy. H, 2 root 3 minus root 3. Remember, this doesn't leave 2. What we've got here is 2 lots of root 3. Take away 1 lot of root 3. Just leaves 1 lot of root 3. And we don't put a 1 in front of it. You just don't need to do it. It's a bit like 1x. You just write x. If you've got 1 lot of root 3, you just write root 3. And 3 root 3 plus 3 root 3, it's 6 root 3. Okay, well done. You get a little star and a tick and a smiley face. Right, moving on. Simplify fully each, simplify fully, right? Each in the form of k root m, where k and m are both integers. Basically, write something along the lines of 2 root 5 or whatever the answer may be. Now, you'll notice that, hang on, we got different square roots here. It's because you need to simplify them first. You need to think about your answers. You need to simplify, first of all, say root 18. 18 is the same as 9 times 2. And I did 9 because it's a square number. Remember, we're looking for those square numbers, the biggest square number that's a factor of this, because then we can write them separately. A little revision from last time. And of course, because this is a square number, I can square root it, which is 3. So we've got 3 root 2. That's what 18 is. Let's work out what 32 is. Well, 32, square root of 32. Right, so that's, I know 16 is a big factor of that. Remember, I'm just thinking of my square numbers. What square numbers divide it? And that's also times 2, isn't it? 16 times 2. So I can write that as 2 separate square roots, which can then, we can square root the square number. So square root of 16 is 4, because 4 fours are 16. 4 root 2. Right, so this sum is really, let's write it underneath, I think. 18 is the same as 3 root 2. And root 32 is the same as 4 root 2. So I'm doing 3 lots of root 2, take away 4 lots of root 2. Oh, this is a tricky one to start with. We've got negative 1 lot of root 2. But of course we don't write the 1, so really the answer here should just be negative root 2. Okay, that's a tricky little example to start with, isn't it? Right, root 32. Now I've already done root 32, so I don't need to work that one out again. So I can just put 4 root 2. I'm going to add root 8 to it. Let's just do a bit of rough work over here. Root 8 is the same as, well, it's a square number that divides 8. Well, 4 does. So that's the same as 4 times 2, which makes 8. We can put them as separate square roots because of rule 1. And then the square number I can square root. So 2 root 2. So this is 2 root 2. See, and now I can add them together, can't I? Because it will work. You know, 4 root 2 plus 2 root 2 is 6 root 2. Okay, now, okay, I've got over here, okay, I keep saying okay, okay. Root 72 minus root 8. I know what root 8 is, because that's 2 root 2. I haven't done 72 yet. Let's see, I wonder what square numbers would divide 72. Let's think. I've got 9 eighths. Can I divide it by 36? Ah, cunning, I see. Right. 36 times by 2. So I can separate them out. So do watch out for those bigger square numbers that you can divide by. The root of 36 is 6, so it's 6 root 2. So we have 6 lots of root 2. Take away 2 lots of root 2. And that would leave 4 lots of root 2. So there's one answer, there's another answer. Okay, tick, tick, tick. So that's what you're going to do. And here's some questions for you to do with them. When I come to do the answers, I am just going to write the simplified form of each one of these square roots. Okay, so I'm not going to do the full working out. Let's go back on the page. I'm not going to do the full working out like I did here, where I did all this. I'm expecting you to do all that and make sure that you get the simplified version of the surd. Then you can do your adding and taking away. Okay, right. So pause the video now and unpause when you're done. Bonjour, ça va? Oui bien, we have unpaused. Hopefully, has it unpaused? No, what's happening? Go back! Ah! I don't know what's happening there. Let's just ignore pause. I'm going to cross pause out. There we go. Don't need pause. Right, root 8 we know is the same as 2 root 2. And I'm going to add that to root 2, which makes a total of, because that's 1 lot of root 2 there, 3 root 2. Right, root 18. Now they're giving us a bit of a clue actually with these first two questions. I'm looking for something root 2. Now root 18 simplifies to 3 root 2. And I'm going to take away from that 1 lot of root 2, which leaves 2 lots of root 2. Yeah. 100 and the square root of 125 is 5 root 5. And I'm going to take away from that 5 root 5. What does that leave? That leaves no lots of root 5, or basically nothing. It leaves 0. Okay, root 48. What have we got for root 48? Well, I make that to be 4 root 3. Because you can divide it by 16. And then 12 we know is 2 root 3. So 4 root 3 take away 2 root 3. Leaves 2 root 3. Well done if you got that one. Root 18 we know is 3 root 2. And this one is 4 root 2, because you can divide it by 16. Okay, add those together and you get 7 root 2. And like I said, but I think I said this on the last video, you get a lot of repeats after a while. You know, there's only so many square roots of whole numbers that are easy to simplify. This is going to be 5 root 3. So 5 root 3 take away 2 root 3. Well, 5 take away 2 is 3. So it's 3 lots of root 3. Right, root 45. Route 40, it's that famous road, isn't it? I get my kicks on route 45. 3 root 5. Take away, this is going to be 2 root 5. So 3 root 5 take away 2 root 5 leaves 1 lot of root 5 that we just write root 5. We got 3 root 7 is the same as root 63. And this is 2 root 7, which is the same as root 28. 3 root 7 take away 2 root 7 leaves 1 lot of root 7. Okay, I hope that's gone well for you. If it hasn't, maybe have a little bit look at the first part of the video again, or maybe check out, maybe go and practice the simplifying again if that's the bit that you're struggling with. Okay, but the next thing to do is do this worksheet, please. There's a link in the Show My Homework, or you can type in the tiny URL, and it's adding and subtracting surds. When you give your answers, it tells you here that when you do, now yours are going to be different to mine anyway, but let's do the first one on here. So root 18 is the same as 3 root 2. Root 32 is the same as 4 root 2, so that's 3 lots of it, take away 4 lots. Well, that's another awkward one, isn't it? It leaves minus 1 lot of root 2. Now, the way they want you to put your answers, it says here, is the first number, comma, and then put the second one. So you will need to be putting, whereas usually we would just write negative root 2 if you've got, minus 1 lot of root 2, you need to actually put the negative 1 for this to work. It's because it's a computer generated sheet, okay? But I'm sure you can cope because you're all awesome. Okay, right, have fun with that. Good luck.